Hey everybody, this is Grace, and in this video I want to talk about something that has been on my mind off and on for I don't know how long, but it's about being online and finding a group or I guess a group or someone to follow, a chat, an online chat kind of thing. Now, I've been online since 1990, and that was a little bit before then, but 1990, it was right off the bat, I found a service where people got on it and chat and play games. And I remember I would play chess, taught myself how to play it, and online, but just with the machine. And it kept being, what was the terminology? Yeah, I've forgotten, but stalemate or something. But anyway, just that was how it went for me. I was teaching myself. But anyway, things where people chat with one another, and that it was safe to do so. Now, I have seen plenty over the years, maybe not in the past, I'd say decade or so, but before then, I had seen plenty, and some of them just did not seem, it didn't seem right, because like a lot of it was with people who didn't even live in the same area, or they may have lived across the globe, somewhere that wasn't anywhere near. And my experience, and my own personal experience, was if there's no accountability, not really a good thing. There's a lack of accountability. That also works for when people get on these online dating sites. If it, there's no accountability. Like one of them, I remember, they wouldn't let the women talk to the women, or the men talk to the men, I guess. I don't know, but I'm female, always have been. And it wouldn't allow women to talk to women. Well, that's one way. My personal experience is that women clue one another in on, hey, watch out for this guy. He's this, that, and the other. And it could be the same for men. Whatever is the case. And so there was a lack of accountability. They're not accountable to anybody else. There's nobody, like if it's more of a group thing, other people know, other people are aware, then, you see what I'm saying? That kind of thing. But, that, I'm not talking in this one about, I'm not focusing on online dating, but just people wanting to chat with one another, especially people who are like around my age, say some people who are in their 50s and up. They want to find other people to chat with. Now, I think many people know so much has changed since I was young. If you're in your 50s, I'm 59. So much has changed how people communicate with one another. Especially since like 1990. Really. Some people they didn't like it back. Getting online back then. They thought anybody who was online was weird, and maybe some still do to this day. But it's become much more acceptable. Anyway, now the thing about it is so much has changed about, like, people have cell phones. I can remember when it went from people actually calling somebody, actually use their voice to speak to someone, to tell them, to talk to them, whatever, to where it's now it's a quick text or something like that. I remember a while the email didn't really catch on the same way as texting did. But personally, I would rather have a phone conversation. I want to hear how they're saying it. I'm by the way, a social and behavioral scientist. I want to hear it, because it's so easy to get what somebody says in a text, and when you don't hear any intonation, and even the smiley faces or whatever, that could be a sarcastic smiley face. You don't hear that. You might assume that, and then be wrong. It could be wrong. It might not be that. See, I'd rather hear their voice and have a better understanding, which they can fake too, but not as easily. Okay, where was I? Had to stop videoing for a little bit. But anyway, what was I talking about? About people online chatting. Okay, to get to it, I have been thinking, you know, well, it was about people who don't use the phone anymore. That bugs me. It really does. I've never really been one for calling anybody that would call me. And I'll tell you why, because it used to be back in the 90s, it was one of those, oh, you were moving, one of those kind of situations where if they called me and I didn't answer it, when I would try to call them back, I mean, like I'd run to the phone, get it, see, you know, who called and call them back right then, they wouldn't answer. It was like, so it did become a thing of, you know, they could call me, but I couldn't call them. And I'm like, I'm not playing that game. You know, there was something on, what was that show? Sex and the City. And where Mr. Big, it wasn't his name. It says something similar to that. But, no, I didn't get it from that. It was my own situation. You know, I didn't watch that show. I never watched all of them. I watched some of them. But anyway. Okay, and where was I? But yeah, I got to, I was talking about when I would call them back right then, or any time, they wouldn't answer. But quite often it was right after they called me, and I didn't get to the phone fast enough, or what? And I was like, not playing that game with these people. I'm not doing it with anybody. I'm serious, with anybody. So I stopped calling people myself. I let them call me. And if I felt like answering, I'd answer, you know. But I'm talking like people were trying to get in touch with me, then they wouldn't answer because they probably went on to the next person on their speed dial. Somebody that would want to listen to all their stories and all about themselves and all their life, what they've been doing and all that kind of stuff. You know, the kind that, then they'll say, you know, they want to tell you everything about them, and they'll say, well, when you finally get a chance to say something about yourself, they would say, oh, well, I'm in a hurry, I better let you go, bye. Because they only saw that their lives were what was interesting. I found that it's most often people with a narcissistic history on a blend of behaviors. Not a diagnosis, but the behaviors. You know, some of the behaviors. Yeah. Okay, anyway. I've done videos lately about, more and more about how, like, you go to, like, I say you, but I mean me. I go to the store, and, like, anywhere, it can be, especially pharmacies, and especially when I go and actually see, you know, the doctor or nurse or whatever who's ever practiced that day I'm scheduled for. Usually I schedule for a doctor and I wind up seeing somebody else. But anyway, is that they cut me off. I mean, it might be a total stranger. The first sentence I'm just about to speak at a pharmacy, say. I'm just about to say the first sentence ever with this person, and they cut me off. Mid-sentence. Never met me before. You know. And that, you know, that's just so similar. That's just so, happens so often these days with any. It can be anybody, at any place, anything, and not everybody, but it can happen enough that it's like, do I ever get to speak? Do I ever get to finish my sentence? Do I ever be able to say what I want to say without being cut off because the other person, you know, I had put it as that they assume they know what I'm going to say, and they run with their own narrative. And I really didn't start seeing that very much until it was probably about 15 years ago. Okay, anyway, enough of complaining about it. Okay, but something, I mean, I want to do something about it. But, you know, I had actually tried to start doing something on one of my channels. I have more than one. So I use them for rough draft recordings of you know, a series of hypothetical fictional stories that I do. And I use different channels for different storylines. And I had thought about doing that with one of my channels, is to make it where it's mainly about chat. You know, do like the premieres, because because I don't want to do the live stream. It's too noisy inside. You know, in my house, it could be just at any moment. There's no room at this point that I can go into and shut the door, and I can't go upstairs because I hurt one of my knees. And anytime I walk upstairs, it just hurts it more. And I hurt it in 2020, or re-injured it, I should say. But it doesn't bother me until I try to go upstairs. So anyway, so I was thinking about Premiere. You know, do a Premiere long enough, and you know, people can just turn down the volume and just have a regular chat. You know, do something like that. I tried it, I think, once, and of course, you know, because I haven't done them before, nobody's going to show up. But also, I read somewhere else, like years later, about duplicating screens, so that would not work because it was just something to chat, you know, put up there. All around, it wouldn't work. I don't know whether it was true or just somebody had said it or whatever it was. I don't even remember when it was. But I don't know. So I have considered joining, you know, different. It's like one of my characters, Joyce. She joins true crime just to, because there were a lot of people her age in it, just so she could, you know, have some people to chat with. Her husband was on an assignment, and you know, she was at home, and you know, this kind of thing. Really, I had the idea myself, and of course, and then gave it to that character. But yeah, I can see people doing that. But like true crime, I mean, I don't know of any other ones that people do live streams. And what I've noticed with true crime, and it could be people who weren't doing true crime, but they somehow get involved with it, like commentary or review channels, and they could be commentary or review on many things, and then they get involved in it's kind of like much of what I have seen. I'm gonna park right here to wrap this up. Much of what I have seen is like some of the people start off with true crime to talk about true crime, and some of them do live stream, but they wind up being commentary channels on one another's, or review channels on one another's true crime channels. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I don't know. But the thing about, I had done that in the past. I've been online YouTube on starting with my original channel, just over 8 years making videos. But I've never really been into much on getting into the chat, because far too often, I have tried it, but far too often the person who is doing the videos, far too often what I had seen, is it just that these are the ones I'm recommended or whatever, but they become some of them become like paranoid. It seems like, you know, any new person, any person who hasn't been there for years, and that can happen, or, you know, these are or, not all of them do the same thing. Not all of them do any of these. Not all of them do any of these. Yeah. Anyway, but some, like I said, some get paranoid, some, and they're very insulting. You know, you're jumping in, you say hello to everybody, and you know, it's your first time on their live stream, and you know, you're very polite. Basically say hi, and they're paranoid. Who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing? You know, what? And you know, make it members only. If you don't want new people to come in and say anything, isn't that how it works? No, really. You know, members only chat. Can't you do that? Just the chat is members only. But anyway, there's that, and but there's also the person, I have seen the person who's doing it would get a big ego. Like I remember years ago, there was a woman who had around 1,000 subscribers, and she did live streams, and she had such a big head. There was something changed. I don't remember what it was, and I mentioned it, you know, because they were talking about something similar, and I mentioned it in the chat, and she she informed me, you know, she informed everybody. Okay, little squirrel, don't get near my car. I don't want you to get hit. But my SUV. But anyway, but she had such a big head. She had told me, "I'll get it out. I'm just right now. I am having a squirrel moment." And actually, that happens. We got a lot of squirrels around here. But anyway, she, I mentioned there was this change that come around, and you know, about, I don't remember what it was, like I said, and it was going to change a lot for a lot of people. And she said, well, they didn't inform me. And she went on, I mean, she was making the video at the time, doing live stream, and her whole attitude was that they had to directly inform her of that, or it was null and void, you know, kind of thing. They didn't contact her because she had such a big head. And I stopped. I don't even remember her channel name or anything, her name, anything. It was years ago. But in that, I've seen that the person gets, you know, quite big-headed, and or their mods do. You know, like the mod just, you know, mod might be paranoid, and or this kind that's, oh, gives somebody a little power, and they it goes to their head, and they think that they're, you know, gods or goddesses, you know, something like that. And it's just like, who would want to be in this kind of chat now? You know, and some of them I've actually seen, you know, where that's what they do. It's the audience gets a kick out of that when the you know, the person who's doing the live stream, or people, pounce on somebody in the audience, and they get a kick out of it. It thrills them. There's nothing, you know, and then they put you know, they can put these people up in the whole community as though they're somebody big. Really? Okay, you know, like that person has a good example for all others to follow. It might be in part maybe a topic. You know, like I said, it's not only true crime that I've seen over the years. In fact, it wasn't until more recently that I've seen them. Like a year, maybe not even a year now, that I've really paid attention to these that do live stream in true crime. So I'm going back years now. But they really. Okay, I had to move all of a sudden. It got really busy in that corner. I don't know why. Seriously. Right there. But anyway, you know, I would like to chat, but I don't want to. I tried that recently, like within this year, like I think I mentioned, sort of started to mention. And it was like, what the crap? And paranoid, and oh, that they enjoy it, and being rude. It wasn't even to me. One of them was that they were paranoid, and it was the two of them. I just said, hello, how are you doing? And, you know, this kind of thing. Paranoia. You know. No, thank you. No, thank you. Do it members only if that's what you're all about. Well, not all of our people can be members only. Well, then stop jumping on the people who are new. They might become members only later. But no, that's not how some work. I can understand it. I used to do live stream, not very much, but back in the day, you know, I've done them before. I can understand it. But anyway, I don't know. I want to, because to get some kind of like group thing, like my Joyce, my character Joyce, to have some kind of community that's online. I don't have anything like that online. And I haven't for years. So, anyway, I'm wrapping this up. It's